Hi guys, it's Simon from Tech My Life Video, and I'm back this time to talk about Apple. Just want to go over as quickly as I can, which doesn't really mean quickly, some of the Apple things that have been talked about. One thing is iTunes Radio. It's popped up in Australia. My son was using his phone the other day and he goes, "What's radio?" And then I turned my phone on. Oh my Sorry, God. Just had a yawning fit. I had to cut the video. Yeah, Saxon turned on his phone just the other day. Turned on iTunes, boom, he goes, "What's radio?" And I went, "Oh my God, they've got it here now." Turned on my phone and it launched, and then it appeared and the buttons moved. So, pretty quietly, they didn't email everybody in Australia and say, "Hey, radio's here." I certainly didn't get an email. It seems like the kind of thing that Apple should be able to kind of notify you about. But they seem to kind of just roll it out quietly. Not sure how much I'll use it, but interesting nonetheless. Yeah, look, I may mess around with it a little bit and try it out. Mac Pro is going gangbusters. You can't get one till April now. They're being made in the US. Maybe that's an issue with just being able to crank out the numbers that they need. Obviously very, very popular. If it was made in China, it would probably be available in a shorter time frame. However, I think the US manufacturing thing is a good thing. I mean, I'm from Australia obviously, but I think some local manufacturing, not having everything made in China, is good. I'd love to get my hands on a Mac Pro. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately, but they look like an amazing machine. Apple TV, there's a lot of talk of Apple TV. Apple are meant to be doing lots of negotiations with cable networks and things like that, and TV producers. They've been adding stuff. I mean, they've just added Red Bull TV, which is really cool. Right up my alley. I do mountain biking, so I'm enjoying that. Haven't had much time to sit down and watch it, I must admit, but it's a great addition. We don't have Netflix here in Australia, so all the cable negotiations and stuff may not affect us here in Australia. But I expect some sort of update. I mean, they'll probably update the Apple TV. They'll probably update the hardware in some way, and they'll do an iOS 7 kind of revamp of the interface. Johnny will be all over that. He'll be all over that shit. I don't know that it'll necessarily. I mean, I think there's some good and bad with the iOS 7 update, but I think we'll see some sort of revamp. It may not happen with all the cable stuff this year, but I think it's due for some sort of update, and update the hardware and the software or the interface to look at the same time. Then you get the app potential. I mean, I'm thinking kind of weather apps and stuff like that, or we've got a great app on the iPad for catch-up TV, which of course I can share. I can share from my iPad to the TV. But there may be some additions there. Not so much games, because then you've got to kind of worry about, like controls and like how do you control them and things like that. But some more simplified apps, I think, may be kind of the way to go. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. There is some issues with iOS 7. As I yawn again, I'm very sorry for that. Additions to there's some changes to iOS 7 and updates that have been happening, but there are some issues with it. I've had crashes and lockups and things like that. So I think they'll probably want to iron out a few more bugs before they do the Apple TV update. So I think we'll see that kind of, because I think bugs in your phone is fine, bugs on your TV not so fine. So I think we'll see a few more updates, and then later in the year I think we might see something with Apple TV. The iWatch, there's been a lot of rumour going around about heart rate monitoring and blood oxygen levels and stuff like this. You've seen the ones that look like a fuel band. I think the new Pebble watch is ghastly. I think they've got this big metal surround with Pebble written on it. It's like, I know it's a Pebble, I bought it, I don't need a big logo there. I want screen. If I'm going to have a watch, I want screen. The whole front of it screen, put stuff behind it, fine, but I don't need a big ugly surround in my personal taste or opinion. So I think if Apple are going to do it, they need to do it right. I think Samsung got it wrong. I think Pebble's first watch was better than their second watch. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't Having said that, I haven't physically used either of them, but visually, I just kind of go, no, I wouldn't put that thing on my wrist. I mean, it looked like some cheap kind of watch you can buy in any kind of market around the world. Yeah, that just didn't look good. So Apple need to get it right, and yeah, it depends how it works with this. I haven't fully given. I mean, I've done videos in the past thinking about it. I think they need to do something special. I'd love to see it link in with heart rate monitors and GPS, and so it can replace like riding watches and things like that. But it has to last. The battery has to be there. It has to crank out battery life. You know, that has to be good. It can't have bad battery life. It just, that's a killer. And I'll talk about battery life in a sec in regards to this. But so that's a big thing for me. It has to have great battery life, and it has to have great functionality that is going to make me want to put something back on my wrist. The iPhone 6, let's talk about that. They're talking about two different screen sizes. So bigger than this, iPhone 5S, bigger and bigger again. Apple have always talked about being able to use it with one hand. I do use it with one hand occasionally, but more often than not, I use it like that. That may just be me. I've got very big hands, so I can use it with one hand. So it is handy to be able to use it with one hand. But I tend to hold it with this hand and type with this hand. I'm not a two-finger typer or a two-thumb typer. I'm a one finger. I'm reasonably quick, but I tend to hold it in one hand, type with the other hand. That's just me. I've got big thumbs. They don't kind of fit next to each other. So it'll be interesting. For me personally though, in terms of, it's not about the using it with one hand, it's about fitting it in your pocket. This is already big. It's on the big side. I like to be able to kind of put it in some small pockets that I have on kind of like I have kind of active wear, and they have very small pockets. I'm thinking of getting an iPod Nano, because this is too bulky to have in the pocket. So yeah, they're talking about edge to edge design on a watch, absolutely. On a phone, not so sure. Sometimes I have my thumb as I'm holding the phone quite firmly pressed on the edge of the screen. I think they can lose a little bit at the top, a little bit of the white there. The reason why the white there is the same as the white there is because it's just symmetry. They're not going to lose the home button. People are doing these renders with no home button. It's like, oh my god. You can do these 3D renders and you'll waste your time. Touch ID is the best thing that's come to iPhone since they've released the iPhone. It's so intuitive. It's just brilliant. I sit there with my finger on my iPad going, why is it not unlocking? Like, the sooner they bring it to iPad, the better. I think they'll bring it to laptops. I think they'll bring it to all computers. That's the way you unlock your computer when it goes to sleep. Great security in that. So yeah, the only functionality I'd like to see is some more functionality of the software. So I could let my kids unlock it with their finger, unlock the phone to use the phone, but not make purchases. So just some more dynamic there in terms of the way it's used. But yeah, we've seen some images of the iPhone 6. Supposedly it could be an iPod Nano, but it looks like it might be the 6. It's got the dual flash, which is a full metal case. Apple avoided the full metal case because of antenna issues. So I don't know about that. I think the HTC One may have a full metal back. Somebody can comment below about that. But this obviously still has those plastic bands at the top. And we've always had, iPhones have generally had antenna issues. So it'll be interesting to see. Look, I don't want thinner than this, really. I mean, I find this quite thin and light, and I've dropped it a few times with the case on. It's quite shiny and slippery. In that sense, I kind of prefer the 4 and even the 3GS. It's quite, it's quite hard to hold in a sense. I'd prefer a little bit thicker. Give me better battery life. Give me a bigger battery. Fatten it up just a fraction. Give me a better battery life. It's not like I'm a strong guy. I can hold that. It's not weighing me down. It's really not weighing me down in any way, shape or form. I throw this thing in my pocket, I'm kind of having to search to find which pocket it's in. It's light, it's light. But I don't want bigger, because, as I said, I don't want this big thing in my pocket that when I sit down, it's in the way. I know I said I couldn't find it in my pocket, but I meant I'm standing up. I generally wear cargo pants or tracky pants rather than jeans, but if I'm wearing jeans, this thing's a pain in the ass. Like, even at this size, you put it in the jeans, you can't sit down with it in there, you've got to take it out and put it on the table. I don't want bigger, I'd break the thing. So yeah, look, I'm interested to see where they go with the iPhone 6. I don't want it to get too big. I don't mind if they have a big model, but I would like a model this size still, please, Apple, if you could, just for me. Don't worry about anybody else, just worry about me. So look, there are some thoughts on Apple. I'm going to cut this video off because I've been talking way too long. Give me your thoughts below in the comments on what you think Apple are going to do this year with some of these products. There will be other updates, I'm sure. There are other hardware, their iMacs and the MacBooks, and also the iPads. There's a talk of a bigger iPad. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. It's very rumourish at the moment. Nothing really solid there. Yeah, comment below, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I love your support. I'm Simon from Tech My Life Video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh my god, I can't believe it.